Well guys, the insane deal that's been going on with the Firebat A6 mini PC seems to have ended already on AliExpress. The system is currently marked as not available, and I'm not sure if it's going to be coming back at all. Firebat also had a crazy sale on this specific model of mini PC that they have that I also own, and it has not come back in stock in this specific AliExpress store in quite a while now. So it does seem like the people that hopped on the Firebat A6 deal that has been going on the last few days got kind of an incredible deal that might not end up coming back for the rest of the year. Now, of course, AliExpress's fall sale is still going on right now, and even though the best deal in the entire sale is gone, that doesn't mean that Firebat doesn't have some great offerings here. And I'm pointing out Firebat in particular because they have really stood out to me as some of the best deals that you can find for mini PCs on AliExpress right now. They are not paying me directly, and I've bought all of the systems that I own of theirs, so this isn't me being biased. They aren't paying me at all for my opinion. I just really enjoy their products. So far from owning the Firebat M56 and the Firebat A6, I can pretty much confidently say that any of these other systems here are going to hold up. And while the real standouts in the list that is currently available is of course the Firebat AK2. Now you guys know that I'm not the biggest fan of the Intel N100, the N150, really Alder Lake N and Twin Lake I'm just not the biggest fan of. But at $106, and you can use a $12 coupon with that, it's really hard to say that the Firebat AK2 isn't a great deal. Yes, it's only 8 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabytes for the SSD, but for a system like this, you really don't need much, at least for the use cases that I find Alder Lake N to actually excel at. Of course, if you do want 16 gigabytes of RAM and a 512 gigabyte SSD, it goes up to $133, and you can use a $16 coupon with that. So both of these are kind of incredible offerings, and you will not find a better deal for a mini PC like this on AliExpress or on Amazon right now. And with Firebat, their systems arrive incredibly quickly. When I bought the A6, it was at my door within 2 days of me buying it. The other standout deal here is the Firebat A8. Currently, the only model that is available is the version with the Ryzen 7 8745HS, 32 gigabytes of RAM, and a 1 terabyte SSD. At $416, this already is extremely competitive with pretty much the entirety of the market, but the fact that you can get a $45 off coupon on top of that pretty much makes this the best deal that you can get right now for a Ryzen 7 Zen 4 based mini PC. The only way you're getting cheaper than this is if you go bare bones, and well, you're going to end up spending money on a 32 gigabyte DDR5 kit and a 1 terabyte SSD anyway, so you might as well just get the savings from getting this. One of the biggest downsides is the lack of Oculink on here, though it does have USB 4, but with the lack of Oculink, that does limit your expandability and the overall future of a system like this, but you do get some pretty big savings over any equivalent system that would have Oculink. A little less interesting is the Firebat AM2. This Ryzen 5 6600H mini PC isn't exactly a great offering, at least in comparison to the A6, but now that the A6 is gone and is likely not to return, this is a bit more of a better value, especially since at $255, it's already pretty competitive for its specs, but if you can use a $35 off coupon on top of that, now it becomes extremely competitive, since most of the systems that are around this price point are really going to be running on Vega-based APUs. The only downsides I could think of, because I don't have my hands on this system, is I suspect this is only single channel DDR5 memory, which means that you are likely going to need to get a second stick if you want to get the maximum performance out of this system. At the price point that it's at, it's not too bad, especially considering the fact that with the $35 off, you can get this to 32 gigabytes without really spending all that much money. But it's definitely just not as good of a value as the A6 was. Now, they do also have two other versions of systems that are rocking the N150 and the N100, that being the AM2 that has the N100 16 gigabytes of RAM and a 512 gigabyte SSD for $135, and you can get a $16 coupon with that. And they also have the T8 Plus, which has the N100 with 16 gigabytes of RAM and a 1 terabyte SSD. I really don't think that there's any reason to get the AM AM2 with the N100 and 16 gigabytes of RAM unless you really need that dual Ethernet. But at the price point that it's at, it just doesn't really make any sense for the specs. I feel like if you don't need 16 gigabytes of RAM or a lot of storage at $106, it's just better to go with the AK2 Plus, especially since at least that's the N150. And if you do care about the storage and RAM, well, at $134, the T8 Plus is kind of crazy with 16 gigabytes of RAM and a 1 terabyte SSD. Now, apparently Firebat also sells a gaming laptop, but at least from what I can see, specs wise, it's not really worth the money. So now that the A6 is gone, it's very disappointing to see, but Firebat does seem to still have some competitive options. They have the A8 and the AK2 Plus that really are the standouts, though that T8 Plus with 1 terabyte SSD is kind of a crazy deal. Now, I ended up buying the Firebat A8 and I'm currently waiting for that to arrive. I'm hoping that it gets here before the sale ends just so I can let you guys know what I really think of the system. But considering the limited stock that there is right now and the fact that the A6 is already gone, if you were thinking about jumping on the A8 with this discount, I really would do that right now as soon as possible. But if you are willing to just wait until I get the system in and take a look at it, by all means, you can do that. This is a system that I suspect is still going to be available on Amazon. The A6 is still available currently on Amazon, though, for a more expensive price than what it was being sold at on AliExpress. But I'll let you guys know how the A8 is when I get it in. If you're interested in picking up any of these systems, they are all linked down below. Really think about jumping on it because the sale is about to end soon and you don't know when these are going to run out of stock. But I'll catch you guys next time.